look at one player on each team. We're just going to do a very quick breakdown. Like one player on each team that we're excited to watch. Just give very brief thoughts as far as kind of what's going to make them exciting, so say. You can go to our YouTube channel, and I actually took time to break down all of the divisions. So you can go look at that for reference yourself on our YouTube page. But this is kind of where the whole meat of it is going to be, where we'll actually kind of do more statistical breakdown, I guess, compared to what I was doing just in the brief rundowns that we did. We'll start off in the American League East, and we're going to go based off of what my division predictions were, not based off of last year's. So for the Toronto Blue Jays, my pick is Dalton Varsho. The Blue Jays got him this offseason from the Diamondbacks in the Gabriel Moreno trade. Varsho had a breakout year last year, 27 home runs. And, for me, Toronto moved their fences in. The reason that I'm hyped on him is because Rogers Center is probably now the hitter-friendliest ballpark in all of baseball. And I imagine that Varsho is going to he could hit close to 40 home runs this year if he's healthy. Like, the Jays have a web gem in a guy like Varsho out there. That's why I think he's the most exciting guy on this lineup to look forward to.
I knew you'd pick Varsho. You can't let him go, huh? The D-back fan inside you is just dying watching him go to a new team. No, that's a solid pick. I like it. I'm going with Nate Pearson. He missed last year, oddly enough, to mono. And then when he was rehabbing from that, he had a lat strain, which kind of just wiped out his whole 2022. But he's a big arm. He's supposed to be he was originally seen as a rotation piece. I'm not sure if they're still looking at him like that. But if he comes back this year and he's solid, good, I mean, it just adds a big arm to an already good pitching staff. And I think it could put them over the top for their pitching.
Yeah, Nate Pearson's kind of just had some rough luck, it feels like, since he made his debut. He just hasn't really panned out.
He hasn't been terrible in his time. He just seems to always have either injuries or just something come up. But I'm hoping to see some of that top prospect talent finally get to show.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Jays look good. Adding that depth will definitely help them. Moving on to the Yankees, my pick is Clark Schmidt. Schmidt he finally had somewhat of a good year last year. He's kind of been a busted prospect starter, but he seemed to have found some life in the pen. Just a brief rundown. He had 56 strikeouts in a little over 57 innings pitched last year, a 3.12 ERA, and a 1.2 whip. Who knows? I mean, he may be a rotation piece again for them. Like, maybe the Yankees still see him that way. But I think if he's solid in their bullpen at a bare minimum, because for me, the Yankees bullpen is kind of the question mark, I think he's going to be a big piece for this team down the stretch. And I think there's reason to be hopeful that he's going to finally show some of that prospect talent, like you were saying about Nate Pearson. He's healthy too.
Yeah. Mine is sort of in that same way, except a guy who's had a little more struggles. But with there being some minor injuries, one major injury on the rotation for the Yankees and a minor one with Cortez with the hammy, it should be good for opening day. But you never know when those kind of injuries will, affect them again. I picked Davy Garcia. He's a guy who's supposed to be a big piece for them. They brought him up really early. I kind of think 2020 might have messed him up a little bit because they had that gap year for minor leaguers. They were in camp, or they maybe got rushed up to the big leagues before they were ready. But he kind of hasn't really panned out. But it looked like they moved him to the bullpen last year in the minor leagues in AAA. And he actually had some solid innings. And once he gets used to that role, it could work out for him. I think this could be the year that we see him come up and actually have some success in the big leagues. Out of the bullpen, he had a 1.02 whip, which is solid, and then 21 strikeouts in 15 innings. And I believe that was his first work out of the pen in his career. I think he's always been a starter. So I would be pleasantly surprised and kind of happy for him to see him come up and have some success, even if it is out of the pen. And that would help out the Yankees as well with some of those question marks in their pitching staff with injuries now. That was my pick for the Yankees.
Yeah, 100%. For the Red Sox, I'm actually going with a prospect. I'm going with Connor Wong. I think there's really no reason that Connor Wong shouldn't be their primary catcher this year. He had a brief stint with the club last year. He did okay, but his minor league numbers across 81 games, he hit 15 home runs, hit 288, 80 strikeouts, 27 walks, but he had 7 stolen bases in 10 attempts. I think this is a guy that could be sneaky good for the Red Sox this year. They're not really expected to do a whole lot, but if they can get they have a prospect in Tristan Casas, but if they can get 2 guys in Casas and Wong, I think this team has a lot to look forward to. And I just think that Wong is going to be a solid piece for them, especially behind the plate. And he's got some good veterans back there. I know Jorge Alfaro is on the team that can kind of help guide him through the season, but he's probably the guy I'm most looking forward to. If he gets a chance to play, I expect him to do about what he did last year in the minors.
Yeah. Yeah, the Red Sox have a lot of young guys who, if they pan out or if they start playing well, you never know what the Red Sox could end up doing. But my pick for Boston is Kike, Enrique Hernandez. I think he's going to be playing shortstop, it looks like. And replacing someone like Xander Bogaerts in Boston is not necessarily the easiest job because, it was Bogaerts, X-Man. He was there since 2013. So, but I'm excited for it. I mean, Kike played shortstop a little bit in the Dodgers system, I think, and he does have the experience, but not in recent years. So it'll be kind of fun to see him move back there. Also to see his leadership too, because moving into a role of taking over for Bogaerts, his leadership qualities, I think, hopefully will play well doing that. And then I sort of picked a second one for Masataka Yoshida, just because everyone's excited to see what he's going to do. Because in 2022, playing in Japan, he had a 1.007 OPS last year in 2022, and then 21 he had a 983 OPS. So numbers like that are going to be exciting to watch. Hopefully some of it translates, or all of it translates to MLB, but we'll see. He's another guy I'm watching.
I always loved Kike. Even when he was with the Dodgers, he was probably my favorite Dodger on that team. He's just fun to watch, but I'm also a sucker for utility players in general.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Orioles, my pick is Gunnar Henderson, and I know he's an early favorite for AL Rookie of the Year. I think he's actually MLB's favorite.
Yeah.
Right now. Henderson did pretty well in a short stint last season. He hit 259, had a 348 on base percentage, 788 OPS, 34 strikeouts to 16 walks. So this guy has good plate discipline, and that was actually how it was in the minors too. So, the Orioles' future is bright. I think when you put Rutschman, Henderson, and Kyle Stowers all together, I think Henderson may end up being the better one of the 3 to me. That's just from watching very briefly. But I expect Henderson to do big things. I think he's going to be manning third for a long time over there. And if he can do anything similar to what he did in a short stint last year, he easily should be the Rookie of the Year in the American League.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a position, too, that they've kind of had trouble filling since Manny left. They traded Manny. But another thing about Henderson that I really like about him, it's not a huge deal, but he only had 1 error in like 250 defensive innings in his call-up. And that just kind of shows he has composure. He's not getting overwhelmed by the moment, especially throwing from third base. That's a long throw. So a lot of times when you get guys who are a little jumpy or extra nervous, you start seeing some throwing errors. And he obviously kept his composure during his call-up to the bigs. But anyway, my pick for Baltimore, Adley Rutschman. I think this is the year where we get to see his leadership, hopefully. I mean, he's still young. It's only his second year, but I'm hoping to see some leadership from him. He walks, which is great for a catcher. When he's not hitting, he is getting on base, and you can't ask for much else, especially when you got guys coming up like Henderson and other guys that are coming up who can swing the bat. So if he's getting on base, that's more than enough from your catcher. And he's also great defensively too. So he was very consistent from July through September too with the bat. So if he continues that consistency, his numbers will almost definitely improve this upcoming season. And just if you can have a solid defensive catcher who can contribute offensively and provide leadership, I mean, that's like your anchor for your squad. So I think he is a guy to watch this year.
Orioles have a lot of bright. They've got a very bright future ahead of them. It's exciting to see.
Yeah.
Now I'll go to the Rays as we conclude the AL East. My pick is actually Jose Siri. It's an interesting pick because Siri was not very good last year. He got traded to the Rays mid-season from the Astros. He only hit 213, but he does have pop, and he can run. And I think if he gets opportunities to play every day, I think he has potential to break through because in his short stint with the Astros in 2021, he hit over 300. So the capability is there for him to kind of have a breakout season. And I think he's a sneaky pick, at least on a Rays team that doesn't look as strong as they have in recent years. I think he could have a big breakthrough and show what he's actually really capable of. He's also a guy I could see just being on the highlight reels every night in Manning center field.
Yeah. My pick for Tampa, well, first things first, Rays fans, learn the name Kyle Manzardo. He is your first baseman of the future. He had a killer year last year, one of the best years in all of the minor leagues. He had a 1043 OPS for the year. So, like, that just tells you what you need to know. Anyway, expect to see him around September. He played Double-A last year, Triple-A, as long as things go well. I mean, maybe after the All-Star break you could see him. I don't know. We'll find out. But anyway, that's not my pick. My pick is Curtis Mead. I got the need for Mead. He plays second and third. And I think he's probably coming for Brandon Lowe's job. I think we will probably see him at second, at least a lot in spring. I don't know if he'll make opening day, but I do expect him to see up with the Rays this year. His OPS is over 900 in 21 and 22. Yeah, he's a guy that I see coming, and I think he's going to be pretty good. He's been pretty solid with the bat through the minors. So
the Rays actually have a lot of middle infielders that are kind of making their way up. They're kind of log jammed over there.
Mead actually played shortstop too, I think, in the minors, but obviously, I mean, Wander has that locked down. He's not going anywhere. But I was hoping like Mead could play a little bit of first, but I don't think he has it all in the minors. So that's why we're waiting on Manzardo for first.
Yeah. Well, either way, the Rays also have they got some young guys that are going to be coming up here pretty soon. Their retooling phase may only last a year or two.